I was so worried this movie was going to be overhyped. I was so convinced when I sat in the theater that there was no way I was going to live up to the praise, the excitement. It was just the early review hyperbole like we've seen time and time again. I was just like, there's no way. Look at me. ETA, Paul Thomas Anderson, you beautiful madman, you beautiful son of a gun. Let's talk about one battle after another. Everyone, welcome back to Archer Vision, presented by MovieArcher.com. I'm Nico, and we are here today to talk about one battle after another, the highly anticipated latest film from Paul Thomas Anderson. This movie stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Teyana Taylor, Sean Penn, Regina Hall, Benicio del Toro, and Chase Infinity in her film debut. A former revolutionary, Bob Ferguson, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, must re-enter the world of radical politics. When his daughter goes missing, he must confront the evil forces from his past that ended his revolutionary group in the first place. Paul Thomas Anderson, my God, let's just get this out of the way now. Incredible. I mean, he is definitely someone who, if you are a film fan, if you are a critic, right, cinephile, name it, you love Paul Thomas Anderson films. He is someone who is so beloved. Everyone feels like he's overdue for an Academy Award. I think that this movie was very highly anticipated. He's teaming up with DiCaprio here, right? He was adapting a Thomas Pynchon novel from 1990 called Vineland. Very strong material. And I think this movie, a lot of people had their eyes on it of like, what is this going to be? They spent $135 million on it. It's playing in 70 millimeter IMAX. This is big, right? So there was a lot riding on this. There was a lot of pressure, I would say, because of everything they gave him in making this movie. And I have to say, my number one compliment to this film is Warner Brothers. Thank you for letting him make this movie, because I have no idea how you let him make this movie, but thank you for letting him make this movie. We talk about movies being timely. I mean, I've said it in so many reviews over the past couple years, but this is timely on steroids. This is so terrifyingly timely, if that's a word. It's crazy. I mean, you have themes of political corruption, revolution, white supremacy. I mean, this movie has balls. This movie has some serious teeth. It cuts deep into very serious things that we are dealing with in this country right at this very moment in time. And even at the time of release, given so many recent events, it is insane that this movie exists and that Warner Brothers let him do this. And I respect them, and I respect Paul Thomas Anderson even more, because this movie is not afraid of its politics. It does not shy away from its politics. It puts them right out on Front Street. It puts them in your face. And I think it creates a story that is so compelling and at the same time so entertaining that the messages hit home and the movie never gets lost in its commentary, in its entertainment. It never get lost. I think there's an incredible balance going on here, and I think that's why so many people are loving this movie. The degree of difficulty was big here. I think he was handling some heavy, important material, and at the same time, he's trying to make this epic crime thriller, this modern American epic, and he does so with these IMAX cameras. I saw this thing in IMAX tonight. It was absolutely stunning. This movie feels massive. It does play like a blockbuster in some ways. I don't know if it'll perform that way or if people will run out to see it that way, but man, this is every bit of the word epic while also really saying something, and I think that is so hard to see. You do not see many movies like that right now. At a whopping 2 hours and 45 minutes, this movie flies by. The pacing is incredible. The intensity is there. There's also a lot of humor in this movie. This movie is never boring. It is never disengaging. It's never isolating. And I think that is due to Paul Thomas Anderson's direction here. I also think it's due to this incredible cast. Leonardo DiCaprio, this is one of the most fun Leonardo DiCaprio performances you will ever see. This guy is absolutely electric in this movie. Teyana Taylor is an absolute freaking force in this movie. Her presence very early on is so strong, and she really sets the tone and kind of drives the beginning of this movie and kind of gives you an idea of what you're going to experience here. Chase Infinity in her film debut, my goodness, my gracious, she is absolutely outstanding, holding her own with these titans, DiCaprio, Sean Penn, who's also incredible in here. I'll get to him in a sec. Regina Hall, Tana Taylor. I mean, she does an incredible job. She's the emotional core of the movie, and I cannot wait to see what she does again very, very soon. She has so many scenes in this movie that I think are among my favorites. Sean Penn, really weird, very subversive performance, very weird, very wild, very sort of quirky and weird, but his character is very interesting right from the jump, and I think he plays this villain role incredibly well, and there is a complex dynamic formed between him and several of the other characters in this movie that, once again, I did not expect either, that made everything so much more interesting. It gave everything so much more stakes, and by the end of the movie, I was very satisfied. Regina Hall and Benicio del Toro, both great, both different sample sizes. Regina Hall, I do think I wanted a little bit more from her. Her character's ending kind of hurt, but I thought she was really, really good in the time they gave her, and especially her scenes with Chase Infinity I thought were outstanding. And Benicio del Toro, a lot of fun. I mean, his scenes with Leo were so fun, so memorable. So even though maybe they weren't in the movie as much as I thought they were going to be, they both have very lasting impressions. Another reason this movie moves so well is because of the score. Johnny Greenwood, my goodness. This is going to be one of my favorite scores of the year. This will be a score that I think contends for the Oscar win. Mr. Greenwood here. Outstanding, this jazz feel at various times, this sort of blaring noise, these horns. And the movie, I'll compare this to a movie like Oppenheimer, where there's always this music playing. There's always it almost operates like a supporting character that sort of keeps the story going, keeps you engaged, keeps you on your tones, is invoking the right emotions. This score does that. What a memorable score. I'm going to listen to this immediately. It's going to be one of those scores that you're playing in the car, you're playing on the AirPods. Cinematography as well, shot on 35mm, shot on film. You see it, the VistaVision that's making this big comeback. I saw this thing in IMAX. I'm going to need to see this in 70mm because it's gorgeous. There's so many shots in this movie between Leo standing in front of a phone booth that looks miraculous, two characters standing in front of the mountains, the use of light, the use of shadows. There's a whole sequence that takes place at night during a riot. Characters are jumping on rooftops. I mean, God, it's just a visual freaking feast. I just think it's a very well told story. I think the movie uses its runtime to the max. I think while it's addressing all these themes, at the center of it becomes a father-daughter story, and this sort of longing of reconnection, of getting your daughter back, getting your father back, going to save his child. And I think they do a really nice job setting up certain character dynamics at the beginning of the movie and really setting up the emotional stakes of the father-daughter relationship. And then as the movie progresses, that keeps on having layers added to it. And I really want to go back to Teyana Taylor's character, who is more present in the beginning of the movie than later. There is so much legwork her character has to do, and so much context around her character that is really essential for not only so many of the thematic elements of this movie, but for the character stuff. And I think the way they choose to bookend this movie, given all of that, was pretty incredible. One of the more fulfilling endings of this year. I feel like I'm not talking about PTA enough, but like everything I'm saying is under his umbrella, right? He is the maestro of this whole thing. The attention to detail, the progression of the story and characters, the visuals, the sonic nature of everything. I mean, he is operating at master levels. He is a master, right? And I think this is your best director winner in 2026 at the Oscars. I think this is your best director winner, and that's sort of the way I'll sum up his overdue nature of the Oscars is gonna come to fruition next March. I think the Oscars are in March. It's a must see. I think it's a must see. I think you should see this on the biggest screen possible. I really hope this does well at the box office. Critiques I do have, I have three. They're not major. They might come across as nitpicks, but I do think I'm just an honest viewer, right? I do think the movie is a little long. I think most of the movie flies by, but by the time we got to the last 20 minutes or so, there was like one more thing and one more sequence. And while the sequence ended up being incredible, and I think the ending is incredible, I think we could have shaved some time. I did start to feel it. The second thing is there is some of the writing and the way Regina Hall's character ends up and plays out. It hurt. I wanted more. I wanted something better, but I also think the way her character plays out, it really works for the story. So that's kind of like a weird critique, because I'm telling you, like, I like it, but I wish it was different. And the last critique I have, which I haven't seen too many say, but I was talking to someone, my friend Adam, he has this take as well, so now I feel better talking about it because somebody else has it. I think some of the humor, there's a group of characters in this movie, and I don't want to spoil, who have a certain humor around them, and I think the humor around them, while it really worked for my crowd, and some of the jokes landed for me, I think the humor sort of waters down or distracts from maybe how bad these characters are, or really the disgusting, disturbing nature of what they're doing in the grand scheme of the whole story. I think it's played for jokes a little bit too much, and I do know a lot of times comedy is used to make things more digestible, and it's being a little satirical, but I think in a movie this intense with these massive thematic swings, I would have dialed the humor down of these characters a little bit. That being said, I mean, this movie is probably as close to perfect as you'll get. I don't want to compare it to the rest of his filmography, because I like to watch movies multiple times before I do that, but it is definitely top tier Paul Thomas Anderson. A lot of his stuff is probably top tier, but it's top tier Paul Thomas Anderson. I think it was probably going to, if it does end up dominating this award season, I could understand why, and there will be several wins that it has that I will really, really enjoy. Director, score. I would love to see DiCaprio. I will not lie to you. I would love to see DiCaprio nominated and maybe win for this role. I love it. And Chase Infinity, I think we could put her and Taylor in supporting. I think they could both end up there. There's such a presence. But other than that, very strong movie. I'm holding back some hyperbole. Just because I want to see it again, but this is among the best of the year. It's going to be very close to the top of my list as of right now because of those few critiques I had. I'm holding back on a 10. I'm holding back on a 5. We're going to go 9.5 out of 10, a very strong 4.5 stars, 4.75, even if I could do that. And that's what we're looking at. I think you should see One Battle After Another. I think you're going to need to get people to go see it on the biggest screen possible. And when you see it, let me know in the comments what you think about this film. Incredible. Shout out to PTA, the master. Can't wait to hang out with you all again very soon.